Hello, Star Wars fans. Today is going to be a Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1 reaction and some timeline updates. Because, of course, as soon as I release a timeline, they change it on me. Why not, right? So there will be some spoilers to the episode. If you haven't seen it yet, I recommend watching it first. But assuming you've seen it, let's dive right into the reaction and a few timeline updates. So, fantastic episode. I loved the opening sequence, that battle with the giant alligator thing, I guess. But the awesome special effects. The Mandalorians unleashing all their weapons, their jetpacks, their entire arsenal on this thing. Fantastic. And, it just shows how much money Disney is willing to put into this series. So if this opening sequence is any indication, the entire season is going to be amazing. And I really enjoy hanging around to watch the end credits because you get to see the concept art for a lot of the different scenes from the episode. And in this case, look at how different that creature is. I mean, I don't know which one I like better. It's not so much that, but it's just fun to hang around and watch those end credits because you kind of get to see what they were thinking originally. So a lot of fun, a lot of fun. All right, I also enjoyed seeing the N1 Starfighter back, and it's always great to see Baby Yoda hanging out there, cute as can be, in the back. And I also bought my son the Lego, so he had it all built and ready to go at the beginning of the episode. But I'm going to be honest, we were a little nervous because last season I bought him the Razor Crest, and he built that, and he had it ready to go. And guess which episode we had it ready for? Yeah, that's the one where they destroyed it. Yes, pretty much. So as soon as we buy it, as soon as he puts it together, it's destroyed. So we were a little nervous. The N1 Starfighter might not make it through this episode, and we jinxed it again. But nope, it did. So that's awesome. And he's got 2 Legos, so he's a happy camper. Also, it was cool to see the Pergols back again. They were from Star Wars Rebels, and that's a big hint for a plot line I think that we will see in Ahsoka's series. Probably not so much in Mandalorian's, although maybe a few more teases for it. But in Ahsoka, we're going to see what happened to Thrawn and Ezra at the end of Rebels when they get carried off by the Pergols. It's like we've always wondered, did they survive? Well, of course they survived, right? They had to survive. But it's going to be great to see them in live action. I mean, Thrawn, oh my goodness, what an amazing villain. Now, I'll be honest, Ezra, not my favorite character, but I'm open to him being awesome in live action as well. I'm going to give it a chance. But anyway, yeah, I think Ahsoka's series is going to heavily revolve around this. And it's going to be cool, too, because I think it will dovetail in with The Mandalorian, with Skeleton Crew. There's going to be a big plot line all coming together. So can't wait. It's going to be amazing. It was kind of fun to see Grief Karga back again, obviously, and how much has changed for him. And I love him saying, I need a marshal. And boy, it's a bummer for Mando. Wouldn't have been great if he could have stayed. Would have been a perfect job for him. Obviously, he's got stuff to do. Would have been a boring series. I'm glad he had to leave. But man, you kind of wish he could have just stayed and hung out. But they did use it to explain the fate of Cara Dune, or what she's been up to. They mentioned she was recruited by Special Forces. It was kind of a way to just explain, why she's not here anymore. Of course, I wonder, too, I'm a little surprised, honestly, they even brought her up with all that happened between the actress and Disney. But you never know. If they manage to patch things up down the road and get things worked out, I guess she could return. And if not, we know where she is. It was also nice to get an update on Moff Gideon. Of course, he's now standing trial in a New Republic tribunal, which Mando wasn't real impressed with. But I think we're going to see him back again, and he's going to be pretty ticked. But so, in regards to Grief, though, needing a marshal, hey, I got one for him. I think this guy's still around, right? I mean, I thought he was dead at first. We all thought he was dead, but then remember, in the end credit scene of Boba Fett, we saw, nope, he's in the Bacta tank. I think he's going to come out, and I think you may have your marshal. Hang in there. If Mando can't do it, Cobb Vanth is free. All right. What I thought was really funny was I think there were several odes to Arnold Schwarzenegger movies in this episode. So remember we saw IG-88, the statue honoring him and his sacrifice, and then Mando wanted to reactivate him. And of course, that didn't go well because he immediately wanted to terminate poor little Grogu again. But didn't this totally give you vibes to the end of, speaking of terminating, Terminator? I mean, this is exactly what it was like after his torso was cut in half. There's his entrails hanging out, the robotic entrails, but hanging out the back. So that was kind of wild. And then, of course, they smush his head with the bust of Grief Karga and drop a one-liner like, only Schwarzenegger could when Mando says, now that's using your head. You're like, oh, man. Terrible line, but so Schwarzenegger. Like one of my all-time favorite terrible lines is from Commando, where he literally throws a pipe through a dude, through his chest. No clue how he did that. And steam, though, comes out of the pipe, and he looks him in the eye with a straight face and says, "Let off some steam, Bennett." Wow. I mean, the line was as terrible as my Schwarzenegger impersonation. But anyway, second ode to Schwarzenegger movies with the bad line. But I think even this was a little nod to Schwarzenegger movies. This manly handshake between Mando and Greef Karga. Because Carl Weathers, who plays Greef Karga, was also in Predator. And yes, that's him on the left, and Arnold Schwarzenegger on the right, with one of the most manly, handshakes ever. It's a meme, obviously. Go check it out if you've never seen it. But yeah, somebody likes Schwarzenegger movies that wrote this episode. There's no doubt in my mind. Also, very, very happy to see Boca Tan back, and I think she's going to have a huge role in the series. And she just looks like such a boss, just sitting there like, I don't care about any of this, okay? Just get out. I hate you. And I really think she and Mando are going to be more enemies than friends. Frenemies, yes, but stressing the enemies part of frenemies. So can't wait to see how this plot line continues as this season goes on. And my goodness, she looks so much like her character. I mean, yes, I know she voiced her in Clone Wars and Rebels, but did they actually draw her to look like Katie Sackhoff? Because it's just such a perfect transition to live action. A lot of the other characters have obviously had to been recast because the voice actors just didn't look anything like the characters. But my goodness, that's just amazing. I love it. She's fantastic. Then let's wrap this up with the small change to the timeline, if we can even figure out what the change is. So in a podcast, Jon Favreau gets on and tells us what's been going on with Mando. And he says, "We know that he's," referring to Grogu, "been rescued and spent many years with the Mandalorian, went back with Luke, and we've now been 2 years apart from him there training." Wow. That is a mouthful. So what he's at least seemed to imply is that Grogu was with Mando for a few years. Then he went back to Luke, where he was a few years. And then finally now we pick up in season 3. So theoretically, there could be as many as 4, 5. He says spent many years with Mandalorian. Could be even more than 5. Now, it's true that, so here's our timeline. It's true that Mandalorian season 1 was in 2019, and now we're all the way in 2023. So 4 years have passed, but I don't know what to do with it. Well, let me start with an easy one. I forgot on Bad Batch that I need to update for season 2 that we moved into BBY 18. So let's fix that. There we go. So 19 to 18 BBY for Bad Batch. But what do we do with Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett? Well, I don't know. I really want your opinion. Tell me in the comments what you think the impact is. For now, I'm going to say it's been 2 years, even though Favreau made it sound like 4 or 5. I'm going to go with just 2, and I'm going to leave it as an open question. And then it also means technically Book of Boba Fett's got to move forward. So I don't know. It may well be Mando's been more like 9 to 13, and Book of Boba Fett is 11 to 13, I guess. I don't know. Let me know what you think. There just wasn't enough to go off of, and so I don't want to change it radically, but I do think it's kind of cool that slowly we're moving closer and closer to the sequel trilogy. All right, so there you go. Don't forget, we also do have a Discord server if you're interested. The Star Wars chatter is picking up. As you can see, people are now sharing their timeline spreadsheets, and we're all discussing things like when does this happen and that happen, and I will continue to update this timeline. I was asked to maybe put the video games in it, so I'm going to look to do that next, as well as just update it as we learn more from Mr. Favreau. Also, if you don't mind, you can like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out more content, and we'll all continue to enjoy Mandalorian Season 3.